grandmother's story. Greta's story. Greta was born at the peak of the Great Depression in April 1932 to Marguerite and Jim Fullerton. She had 3 siblings, Alice, Keith and Ted. In 1926, before Greta's birth, the family went to Adamsfield to the Osmeridian mine, leaving daughter, young Alice, with her grandmother. They took the eldest son, Keith, Marguerite's brother, sister and brother-in-law along with them. They reached Fitzgerald, where they had to take the next 26 miles or so on pack horses, sleeping in tents along the way. When they reached Adamsfield, they worked making up the sluice boxes for the prospectors. Marguerite had a ring with a wide band and stars cut out with pieces of osmeridian set into it. Tasmanian osmeridian commanded high prices because it was highly sought after for fountain pen nibs. At this time, around mid-1925, a rush ensued and prospecting was going on in earnest, thanks to a man named Jim McGinty, who is also known for discovering the largest gold nugget ever found in Tasmania. Osmeridian was found with gold and considered a nuisance to gold miners, who were penalised for having it with their gold. That is, until Mr. McGinty realised its potential. It was a difficult time to get work after the war, and Greta's father was working for the Cascade Brewery getting wood for the furnaces. By 1938 he was working for Charlie Miller, who had a mill at Mountain River. It was just before the Second War, and Charlie had to close the mill, but informed Jim that there was a mill on the Cardigan River on the west coast of Tasmania where he could get work. The family moved into a small cottage where it rained for 57 days over the winter. They stayed for 6 months and then in 1939 went back to Mountain River. By this time Jim had signed up to the army, and the family went to live with grandmother at Strickland Avenue in Hobart. Jim went to Seymour in Victoria for motorbike training, where the young soldiers called him Pop. He also served in the First World War, where he received a bomb wound in the left thigh and was sent back to England, where he spent 6 months recuperating before being sent back to Australia and discharged. He was away 3.5 years in all. The family rented a house in Darcy Street. Jim was posted at Cornelian Bay. He got a cold that he couldn't shake off and was put into the Royal Hospital Army section, where he did not respond to treatment. There was no penicillin in those days. He was moved to St John's Private Hospital, where he died in 1944 from double pneumonia. Greta's older brother Keith was still serving overseas with the AIF at this time. Greta was only 11 years old when her father passed, and at 13 she developed rheumatic fever. She was in hospital from December to April, at about the time penicillin became available. She became a guinea pig for the treatment and was home in 10 days. Being halfway through the school year, she was unable to go back to school, so by October she had her first job at a place called Johnson's and Miller's. Being the youngest, she was made the gopher and had to collect dry cleaning, run messages and collect lunches. Her knees swelled badly after her ill health, so the Legacy Foundation had her moved to Walsh's, making envelopes on a machine. Greta's brother Ted was living in Queensland, so her and her mum went for a 6-month visit to the warmer climate. While she was there, she got a job with Gordon and Gotch, teaching the staff how to make envelopes. When they returned to Hobart, Greta worked for the Mercury newspaper, checking TATS tickets. It was instant dismissal if a mistake was made. At 16, Greta began her volunteer work at St Thomas's Church, South Hobart, as a Sunday school teacher. She believed in filling your life with purpose and achievement. She would often take the children on excursions. Greta left the Mercury to get married to her true love and soulmate. The road was quite a bumpy one for Greta. Struggling to have a family, she lost 6 babies between her eldest and her youngest son. She found herself alone, bringing up the two boys with 8 years between them. In 1967, Greta took her mum, Marguerite, after she had a debilitating stroke until her death in 1974. After a tough 7 years, her youngest son had joined the Navy and she found the house rather empty, so she went back to work at the Cadbury chocolate factory at Claremont. She made a lot of friends there and enjoyed sharing their company and having fun social visits at each other's houses. Greta remarried. She worked on her husband's boat on weekends, travelling either to the east coast at Orford or the west coast at Strahan for the weekend. The first boat was called the Mary, which became stranded on rocks at Doughboy Island, northwestern point of Tasmania. It was pillaged by vandals for copper nails and such, and then burned. They had another boat called the Pearl Cay, which was a scallop boat, and they would dredge for scallops from May to November in the Channel. In the summer they fished at Triabunna, St Helens and Flinders Island up the east coast of Tasmania. They bought an old ketch called the Berngarner at Strahan. It was in poor condition and not really seaworthy. They had it brought to Hobart and Greta's husband Gordon worked on it for weeks. He reconditioned the original motor with train parts he had bought. Elliot's crane took it from his place to the wharf and swapped the diesel motor over. He fished in it and did very well. Come the 1st of November, when the season began, he'd be crayfishing. He'd leave a fortnight before to get out before the rough weather and was back with a full load before many had even set out. It cost $1,000 to put the Berngarner out to sea then. That included fuel, registration of pots, 4 kilos of bacon, 6 dozen eggs and a heap of scone mix. The Berngarner was considered a triton among minnows, and over the years rescued many stranded boats like the Ramia and the James Craig. It's a boat with a lot of history. In the early 80s, Greta began her 30 years of voluntary service with the Pensioners Association of Tasmania. For many of those years she was president, overseeing administration and finances. She also helped organise activities for aged people to overcome loneliness. Greta also joined the Hobart Auxiliary for 25 years and was a very active member of St Thomas Church, Howrah. Her rheumatic fever left her with a weakened heart and she found herself needing a valve replacement. She struggled with her heart and breathing difficulties for the last 15 years of her life, passing in 2019. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I've come on today to show you a new journal I have called Wisteria, and it's in some lovely mauvey colours, mauves and purples, which seems to be a bit of a current trend at the moment. Everybody's into purple, but it is a beautiful colour. So this is the cover, and the name of the book is entitled because of the beautiful wisteria flowers on the cover, which are absolutely gorgeous. And I have a dangle on the side, down the spine, in a lovely purple beaded cover. And the cover's just a cloth cover on a hard, very hard cover, book cover. And I have a book plate with just wisteria, very simply. A Tim Holtz doorknob and some beautiful sari ribbon to keep it closed, and it just hooks on, so you don't even have to undo the ribbon, it just pushes over the knob, which means that you've got a bit more room for expansion if it grows, which it probably will, because this book is actually designed for a granddaughter to collect her grandmother's memories in. So it has a story to it about the grandmother, and I'm hoping that she will be able to add bits and pieces that she has and little treasured memories of her grandmother. So we'll just go inside and have a look. So just inside the cover I've made a little flip out, and the picture inside is of her grandmother, whose name is Greta. So that's Greta when she was a small child. And I don't know if it will stay in focus as I bring it up because it tends to go out of focus, so I apologise if it does, but I just wanted to give you a look at that lovely little child. So this side I have where the tab is a magnet, so it pulls it in closed, and I have a flip out, and they are real flowers which I have pressed and collected and made into an oval frame under some acetate, and I've just collaged around it. And this is a flip out, so it's a three-way flip. It's getting a bit wide now to see. So I have a pocket on this side, and in here I actually have some drawer liner fragrance, which is making the book smell absolutely beautiful, and just a little cute little card there to write in. It actually is Inner Spirit Pear Blossom, the fragrance sachet, so it's got this lovely pear smell. And I have This Book Belongs To, so she can actually write her name in there and put that where she likes afterwards. On this side I have a little glassine bag with lavender and a lavender tag, and behind that there's another little tag which I think has, yep, Elysium on it, and they are from Tracy Fox. On this side I have a little envelope which you can just put little treasures in and that has a beautiful lady in there on a card, and I think that is from Mrs. Cogs' collection of Purple in the Garden. I have used a few different ones in this journal, a few kits, so I'll put them in the box below so you can see what they all are. The main ones that I have used are, for the pages I've used EllsiebeLs Garden. It's EllsiebeLs Bookshelf, I think, kit, and it's called Grunge Garden. I've also used some Arty May's pages from her Lavender Hue collection, some My Porch Prints, some Paulette from TLC Creations kit, and the Christmas Roses kit. I used some from Stephens Emporium, Lisa from Tulip Cottage Designs, and Wendy's Journal Adventure Ideas, but I'll put all of those below. So here we have a photo tucked in a pocket, and this is Marguerite Fullerton, who is Greta's mum, and that's Greta as a little girl. So she's walking down the street with her mum. So that starts off her life story at the beginning. These are from Mr. Stephens Emporium with the gorgeous flowers on them, pressed flowers. And that's another one from his collection as well. And here we've got a lovely street photo of Greta walking in the street. When they did those back in the 40s, they did a lot of those street photographs. I've also left a lot of blank tags and things for her to write on, because I know that she will want to extend the story herself to suit herself, so I left a lot of writing space and areas where she can add what she likes into the book. So that says, it is said that love is blind, friendship on the other hand is clairvoyant. Okay, so this side of the page I've got a little trim and some stenciled roses. Here we have a photo of Greta holding a beautiful koala, and I think that may have been on a Queensland holiday. And I have another little tuck spot there from Mrs. Cogs' Lavender Garden collection, and a little tag in there which I think may be an EllsiebeLs collection one. And over here I've got one of Greta's own handkerchiefs, which I thought would be nice for her granddaughter to have. And in this frame here I have a picture of Greta and her husband, her first husband, with her first baby in the pram, and I just put a lovely little frame around it that you can move in case she wants to put it somewhere else. And that's another of Mrs. Cogs' prints, which kind of went with the story there. So we have another of Mrs. Cogs' Japanese garden pictures with gorgeous purple irises, sticking with the purple theme, and a lovely coloured picture which is a Beatty picture, who was a famous photographer back in the day, back in the 40s. And yes, it's a very young Greta there. Lovely picture of her. And over this side I have a belly band pocket with a photo tucked in of Greta on the lawn in her younger days. So I thought that would be lovely for her granddaughter. And another of Mrs. Cogs' collection, beautiful purple ladies. And I've put a tab on this photograph so it's easy to slide out. There's a lovely picture there of Greta with her dog, her puppy. Another belly band with another Mrs. Cogs' lovely ladies in there. Just tucks underneath there. Little tuck pocket with a butterfly tag, another one of those nice oval frames which I didn't put on, I left them for her granddaughter to choose where she would like to have them and what she'd like to have under them. That's a lovely street picture of Greta walking down the street there. I love those old photos. So a very nice style of photography. And another one there with her umbrella walking down the street. A very young Greta. A nice pocket there from Stephens Emporium with the lovely dried flowers, pansies and looks like hydrangeas. Another pocket, and that is a real dried pansy which I've added onto one of EllsiebeLs tags and just collaged it up with a little piece of acetate over the top to protect the flower. Another photo of Greta walking down the street with a friend and her shopping. More writing pages, a little Tim Holtz pocket with a little collection of bits and pieces, some tags and things that she can use to either write on or label. Another Mrs. Cogs' purple garden lady. Yeah, I've left her a few so that she can add to her own collection of bits and pieces, and a few blank tags to write on or put typing on or different things. It's another of Mr. Stephens' lovely pockets there, Mr. Stephens Emporium. And that Wisteria is from Mrs. Cogs' Japanese Garden. So her lovely Wisteria goes with the theme of the book and the name of the book. Some beautiful bees, another of EllsiebeLs bookshelf tags. It's just a beautiful collection, that kit. Gorgeous pages in the collection. A beautiful mixture of blues and pinks and purples. And the backs I have used Arty maize as papers, so I've printed on both sides. That's an EllsiebeLs collection. Here I've got a little bookmark that I thought we could add some nice writing or something to later on, and I just put a little butterfly on the front. This gorgeous page I think was from Cogs with beautiful blue hydrangea, which adds to the soft mauve tones. Have another little sort of belly band tuck spot, and in that I've got one of Elsie's pockets, which is a cute little design. It just fits nicely in there. On this side I have a little pocket with a sort of a letter shaped paper clip, and I've put a whole stack of bits and pieces in there for her to use herself. These are from Mrs. Cogs' kit, her ladies, and her gorgeous lavender field, and that one there on top I think is an EllsiebeLs collection. I did have a couple of kits, so excuse me if I get them muddled because they were very similar. That gorgeous envelope there just tucks undone at the back. It's sweetie. Oops, a little bit awkward working around the camera trying to put things in and out. So that's just where I sewed the pocket on the other side. I used some lovely sari silk ribbon to sew down this gorgeous piece here, print with the pretty pink flowers on it, sort of pinky mauves. And some more, I just love that purple, that's just so sweet. Beautiful page. I have a lolly bag here with a little tuck spot at the top that has lavender water, an advertisement for some fragrance, distilled from flowers of richest fragrance, and a little stamps shaped tag on the front, and then a little envelope in the back which is like a seed envelope, so you can put things in there. Now on this side I have made a fabric pocket, and inside of it is the story of Greta's parents. So this is her mum, Greta's mum, Marguerite, when she went to work on the Osmeridian mining area, which is sort of to the west of Tasmania. Her and her husband up and moved to a place called Cardigan River, and they etched out a life there for a while. So they both got miners' rights. So this is